AM 630.
Good morning, everybody. 6:37 on WMAL.
And joining us is our good friend Lanny Davis. Of course, he is the former White House counsel during the Clinton administration. And Lanny, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Larry and Brian. I just want everyone to know that despite all the rumors, your show is not part of the government shutdown.
No, we are essential.
We're essential employees.
Absolutely.
That's right.
There's some liberals I know that were hoping that you'd be shut down, but it's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. You know why? Because we actually work in the private sector, Lanny.
That's right.
Hey,
Wait a minute. What private sector? We only believe in government. We have no idea there is such a thing as a private sector.
save that, please.
clip,
we'll have that one. Yeah.
Because we know that is the
Before
truth.
you put that on the internet, that was a joke, everyone.
And Lanny, by the way, we know that's a joke because you were there in the Clinton White House during the government shutdown, and you saw how Bill Clinton was able to engineer his triangulation there. Let's not forget, in the midst of the government shutdown and the showdown with the Republicans in Congress, he famously said the era of big government was over. He was able to capture a part of the narrative. But boy, you look at Harry Reid, Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Lanny, this is not the Clinton way of handling this.
No, it isn't, and they're missing the moment. The moment would be to set themselves up as fiscal conservatives in favor of balancing the budget, endorsing a bipartisan commission, including Senator Dick Durbin of the home state of Illinois. Last time I looked, a liberal Democrat, supported the Simpson-Bowles recommendation. So what they should be doing is calling the bluff of Senator Cruz. I hope you'll ask him the question, do you support Simpson-Bowles and reducing this debt? And what President Clinton did was to challenge Newt Gingrich on balancing the budget, reducing the debt, but he wasn't going to slash Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. And actually, I'll take back Social Security. It's mostly about Medicare and Medicaid.
What I'm hearing from you, Lanny.
He had a hard time being depicted as a big government, big spending liberal Democrat. That's one of the problems that Gingrich had in losing that battle.
What I'm hearing from you is that when Bill Clinton was president and this government shutdown scenario emerged, he was at least willing to sit down and have a conversation and negotiate. We had a meeting at the White House last night, and apparently the whole purpose of the meeting, about an 80-minute meeting one hears, is that the president wanted to have the congressional leaders down there to say what he had already said 100 times on television, was that he was not going to negotiate. He's not willing to have a conversation.
Well, Erskine Bowles actually, ironically, was strongly, I guess he came to the White House later on, but Erskine Bowles on this deficit reduction commission appointed by President Obama is a great Democrat, as is Dick Durbin, a liberal Democrat. But what President Clinton said to Newt Gingrich is, of course they negotiated, is no. But you sit down at the table and say, no, I'm not going to slash basic programs to the core at your threat of shutting down the government, but I'll give you an alternative, Newt. We're going to go for a balanced budget together, and I'm going to be a fiscal conservative. Now, Gingrich played right into the Democratic Party's hands by his refusing to say yes, and the people blamed him for the shutdown, just as today most people are blaming the Republicans. But I don't approve of this notion of not talking and not negotiating. I don't think that they should even negotiate anything about the Affordable Care Act, but that's at least something that you talk about. You can say no over negotiation, but you should negotiate.
Lanny Davis is our guest, and you say people are blaming Republicans for this shutdown. I think the jury's still out on that. The numbers don't necessarily bear that out. And also, some things have happened this week that I think don't work in the president and Harry Reid's favor. And again, drawing the comparison to what happened when you were in the Clinton White House during the last government shutdown, shutting down the World War II memorial, going out of your way to shut down turnoffs off the George Washington Parkway, going out of your way to, they're not allowing NFL games to be broadcast on Armed Services Radio for our military members overseas. These are actions where the administration is going out of their way to try to inflict pain where it doesn't have to be, and it doesn't look good for him. Did you see what happened with those World War II veterans?
Yes, but we'll see. You're right. The jury is out on who's to be blamed for the World War II veteran memorials being shut down and national monuments and national parks. But I think what happened in 1995, winter 1996, is that the public did blame the Republicans. But
Oh yes, back then I'm saying now they're not getting blamed.
now the polls do show that they're blaming the Republicans, but quite frankly, I agree with you. They're blaming both parties. But I do think that overwhelmingly people believe, whatever you think about the Affordable Care Act, that you don't play hostage-taking when it comes to the government.
Okay, hold it and stop.
And also
Stop.
debt. Can you imagine that they're now going to be saying that the national debt won't be raised?
How can you say hostage-taking?
Hold it, Lanny. Stop. No, I got to challenge you on that, because what are the Republicans in the House of Representatives doing? They duly elected officials of the House of Representatives who control that body have decided that they don't like the provisions of Obamacare. They are going through the regular order constitutional process to fight against this legislation. They are using legitimate tools given to them under the Constitution. Now let's look at the other side of the equation. The President of the United States gets the legislation passed, decides that, oh my gosh, for political purposes, and only for political purposes, it's going to be a disaster if we go through with the business
employer mandate.
The employer mandate.
Or other aspects.
So we're going to delay that. Well, he didn't have the constitutional authority to change the law willy-nilly, but he did it anyway. So he's using extra constitutional processes to do what he thinks is political expedience, but the other side's trying to follow what the tools the Constitution grants them. How can you compare those two approaches?
I don't even know where to begin to correct all of your comments, Mr. Justice Bryan. I know that you've been on the Supreme Court a long time, but there's nothing unconstitutional about what the president did. But let me at least get one agreement with you before you say we're out of time. We both agree that democracy should function on the floor of the House of Representatives, and that Speaker Boehner should allow his Republicans to vote on the question whether the government should stay open or not on the floor of the House, where Democrats and Republicans in front of the American people can stand up and say yes or no. If we can get agreement on that, then Speaker Boehner, and when you talk to Senator Ted Cruz, who, by the way, I respect, he's a very smart man, and really could have a great political future if he weren't committing suicide, political suicide, by the way he's conducting himself. I would like this agreement among the three of us that we support democracy, that Speaker Boehner should call for a vote on the House of Representatives and let Republicans vote their conscience and Democrats. Do you agree with me?
Well, as much as I agree with Harry Reid doing the same in the Senate instead of
absolutely,
but he's using procedural tricks right now.
Liberals right now, challenging Boehner to let the Republicans vote. Free your Republican caucus
and free the Democrats in the Senate. I want those red state Democrats in the Senate.
On the internet that you two guys agree with me on this.
Harry, I also want Senator Harry Reid to let those red state Democrats who are up for re-election to do the same.
Let's do it.
All right.
And let me tell you something.
Very quick.
When Harry does it, we'll do it.
Listeners understand is Boehner won't let that happen. Because if he did, he would lose and we would have a government reopening. So this is the deal this morning, everyone. We are in agreement. There should be democracy in the House. Everyone
and the
should
Senate
be allowed to vote up or down.
And Harry Reid will lose if he lets the.
Why Boehner will not say yes to that proposal.
All right, and Lanny and Harry Reid will lose in the Senate if he lets his red state senators vote.
And we all agree that there should.
I agree. Harry Reid should do the same thing, and this is an historic moment.
And we can all agree that the president should follow the rule of